A pleasure to meet all at last, and today we're back at it again with more first impressions. Pretty recently we were able to get our hands on a copy of the latest addition to the Jurassic World Evolution series. Yeah, a third game in the installment known as Jurassic World Evolution, which is basically a set of storylines involving an overhead viewpoint as well as the many unique buildability functions in which that you get to create your own Jurassic World. Yeah, so while this was certainly not an original concept, nor was it the first of its kind, we have seen a lot of games like it. If you might remember Jurassic Park Builder, as well as Jurassic World Builder on mobile, you could say that they were the foundational points that eventually led to console versions of these games to be made. And Jurassic World Evolution, since 2018, has made its way to the mainstream, where you can not only create your own roller coaster tycoon-esque sort of world, but also manifest the idea that, much like the movies themselves, a Jurassic World in the creation and safeguard of your own hands on that controller will thankfully allow for safe handling of dinosaurs of all sorts. Old history that even Dr. Malcolm would comically call repeats in history. But we'll get back to him in a bit, because we first get a bit of a cutscene that gives us a bit of light going on with the likes of the Frontier logo. Yeah, Frontier. The same guys that were able to bring along Planet Coaster and Planet Zoo as of late. Who would have thought that they'd be the ones chosen for this sort of project? Well, the thing is, it's kind of been like this since day one. And while I have talked a bit about the likes of Jurassic World Evolution in the past, this instance is a bit different. It takes place, believe it or not, after the events of Jurassic World Dominion. And despite the fact that there was Jurassic World Rebirth that occurred back in July, they actually set this game up as a bit of an opportunity to take place after the world in which that dinosaurs roamed free once again after being contained on an island for tourists to visit. That was essentially what the baseline was for Jurassic World, acting like a reboot to the franchise and trying to re-implement the old idea that John Hammond himself once had, where mosquito DNA and frog DNA would be bound together by science to create a new breed of dinosaurs to walk the earth once again. Yeah, since I had watched the classics a lot of times, I am understanding of the lore that has happened over the years, since the very beginning, despite being born a while after the films came out. So, whether you like it or not, I'm familiar with the franchise, and a lot of you can probably agree or maybe disagree, but since you weren't even old enough to experience most of these films, kinda your loss. Anyways though, what Jurassic World Evolution 3 does for us is take place pretty much after Dominion and sometime before Rebirth. In fact, it gives us a sort of Rebirth-esque phase in which that we're given the opportunity to re-implement a Jurassic World in which that will once again hopefully attract tourists. But hopefully things can go well enough for everything to go smoothly without any trouble. The game at first introduces us to Dr. Ian Malcolm. This is a man that has truly held the franchise together, sort of like holding all the puzzle pieces together without allowing any of them to separate. Jeff Goldblum is that talented of an actor. He's kept one big franchise from going completely split between every participating party that has been into the series since day one. I myself never gave up on the new films. Dominion might have been really badly hated by a lot of critics, but I found more than enough reasons to love it. So much that I gave it probably too high of a score when I reviewed it. And I have the reasons for it. A lot of evidence to back it up. Anyways though, what Malcolm does at first is give us a bit of insight as to the world that we're about to experience. And before we know it, we're in that familiar land in which that an overhead viewpoint with basic controls such as moving the camera, panning up and down, zooming in or out, with the likes of the sticks as well as the L2 and R2 buttons, which allow for the camera control to be made. So not very complicated in terms of camera operations, but it does give us a lot of flexibility to work with. So we have precisely what we're looking for in terms of where to point the camera at. We're also given tutorials, for the most part, it's the basics, on how to run dinosaur operations and also how to get everything running smoothly. A lot of agencies to work with. You have the medical team, which are supposed to look after the dinosaurs and take care of the plants involved, as well as the youth that come out of the eggs in the hatchery. And then of course, there are capture teams, which come in the likes of helicopters and armored vehicles, armed with rifles full of tranq darts. Yeah, it's kind of like what happened in Jurassic Park 2, in which that Sarah Harding had to shoot down the T-Rex with one tranq dart. And in Torfine Blend, nonetheless. I don't know if she's related to Jerry Harding, but he's not exactly canon, from what we know. Anyways though, most of these operations are led by somewhat original characters for the franchise, though there are a few familiar faces. Like I said, Ian Malcolm is in this game as well. But we do eventually get to come across some more recent faces that have also been in the franchise for some time. And even the so-called introductions of newer characters that were mainly made possible because of Rebirth. And keep in mind, I've not played this game for more than 2 hours, and I've already learned a whole lot about the kind of lore that they're trying to implement in this in order to further connect it with the likes of not just what Dominion had to offer, but also Rebirth. So you could say this sort of builds up to the level in which that Rebirth events eventually take place. I don't know. I can't say Evolution, none of the 3 games are considered canon for these sort of reasons, but they do try their best to do so, and I will appreciate that. But of course, it all comes down to building your own Jurassic World, a park full of dinosaurs as well as many other things for guests to see. Restrooms, amenities, including gift shops, food and drinks, as well as hotels for them to stay at. And then of course we gotta remember, the science is the biggest thing keeping everything in operable order. You have a large budget, which you can see, millions of dollars worth. It might sound easy to work with, but trust me, all the things you do will add up pretty fast. From hiring scientists to conducting expeditions, you're gonna be doing a lot of stuff in this game. It does seem complicated, but trust me, I played a lot of games like this. Roller Coaster Tycoon and Planet Coaster. I've even gotten into Planet Zoo not too long ago. So I've had more than enough experience with Frontier-based games like those. Albeit Roller Coaster Tycoon was more of an Atari-related thing, long before Frontier started to do their own stuff, like Thrillville, which didn't really hit off too well. But still, Planet Coaster did a fantastic job. So much so it got a sequel just last year. And as for Jurassic World Evolution 3, everything that I've had to say, plus a lot more that I will have to experience later on, really culminates in the fact that this could possibly be the best of the series so far. And I'm not exactly talking about the Jurassic World franchise, which was more of the successor to Jurassic Park, but I'm mainly talking about the likes that all 3 games have a lot of ups and maybe a few downs here. I will say a couple of downs on Evolution 3 would include the fact that sometimes the controls can get a little finicky here. When you take direct control of a vehicle, such as the helicopter or a truck, there might be times in which that you might end up hitting some terrain along the way. You thankfully don't experience much damage. And even when you do, the charges in there are fairly medial. On top of all that, I will say that maybe, just maybe, getting the skill points and all the other stuff in order to upgrade certain skills and upgrade other things just seems a bit tedious. I can't exactly point out that this is supposed to be an intuitive factor into deciding my overall score for the rating of this game, but Above all that, I'm not having much trouble with this. Evolution 3 is the best one of the bunch. And I will say, I am very impressed at what they were able to do here. They were able to give us something that tries to interconnect with the films, much like what the last Evolution game did 4 years ago. But the fact is that unlike with the last game, this doesn't really give us much in terms of DLCs, at least at the moment. I'm sure if they give us another Jurassic World film, they might turn it into a DLC pack. Something out there for people to know in the future. A potential SOL, if you will. In any other case, though, it's a solid title. Worthy of picking up and worthy of playing for a good amount of time. It's something that I could probably have a hard time putting down. In fact, I might go downstairs and play some more of it. So for my overall score, Jurassic World Evolution 3 gets a pretty staggering 9.8 out of 10.1. Yeah, so it's a bit much in comparison to the films themselves or even the predecessors. I will say Evolution 2, I recall giving it a mere 8.7 out of 10.1. So a bit lower, but nonetheless, Jurassic World Evolution 3 almost nails it in many different ways. Had it not been for the minor flaws that I counted so far, this would probably be something that actually could ace it and might be the top dog of 2025 related video games. So, yeah, I'm gonna have to head back down and play some more. Yeah. Either way though, I'll be back with more stuff. Probably another installment of First Impressions for November, unlike last year. So I'm hopeful that I can at least get one First Impressions video out every month. And furthermore, I will have many more games and ideas of all sorts worth reviewing on this channel. So I'll see you guys next time in GWK, the First Impressions.